I are crossing the border right now.
Bye. Adios.
Literally walking, following these students. I don't know how long we're gonna take, but
20 minutes, you said.
a 20-minute walk.
Is the agency to our right. It's a nonprofit agency, part of our rescue mission, which is a national organization.
Oh, there it is.
So it is a shelter primarily for home-free adults and children and families. So to my right, that is also my classroom. So we're coming back on Saturday because I teach inside the rescue mission in the chapel. That's my classroom for graduate students. And so, and this is the migrant center. So they welcome immigrants and migrants who have been processed by CBP. Application, I think number 1 or CBP 1. And so when they're released, they come to the shelters. And so this is one of the welcoming shelters. They stay here for days, sometimes even weeks, sometimes potentially a month, no more, but they're on the move. And so you're going to see a lot of families primarily. Yes, there's.
They send them to us.
But it doesn't get picked up and paid by them. No, so they have to come up with the funding. ¿El señor Carlos está aquí adentro? ¿Podemos pasar? Sí. Muchísimas gracias. La niña que acaba de irse. Vale. Venga, la que vaya. Valerie.
No pasa nomás.
La que esta es para ella. Y luego tamaño 12. ¿Quién usa 12? Vamos a ver.
Para que no se haga. Ok.
Está encargado.
Fabián está encargado.
I'm scared of it because I was getting near. I'm sorry.
So, ellos lo están alistando. Ok, mira los niños. Wow. I love this. Que los niños.
Aquí llegan inmigrantes de todo, de varios países, sobre todo de Venezuela. Son los que llegan más, pero tenemos de todos los países: Haití, Colombia, Honduras, Brasil, Guatemala, Perú, ¿sabes?
Yo soy de Perú. Ok. Pero usted me está diciendo que ya no están yendo a Nueva York. ¿Dónde están yendo?
Lo que pasa es que ya ahorita la gente, bueno, los que tenemos nosotros aquí, ya no quieren ir a Nueva York, porque ellos, entre ellos mismos, dicen que está muy lleno Nueva York y que hasta ellos mismos dicen que están haciendo mucho desastre entre ellos. No quieren ir a Nueva York.
¿Dónde están yendo?
Se están yendo ahorita para Chicago. Es el lugar que están yendo, porque tampoco Denver ya no quieren. Estaban yendo mucho a Denver. Lo que era Denver y era Nueva York era donde más se estaban yendo. Pero ahorita ya dicen que no quieren nada con esas ciudades. Y dijeron, ok,
entendido.
Ahorita se están enfocando en Nueva York o en otros estados.
Ok. Entonces, ¿están algunos regresándose de Nueva York aquí? O...
Sí.
Sí.
Mucha la gente ya se está quedando aquí en el Paso.
Ya se está.
Y algunos se regresan de diferentes partes por el frío, por el
falta de trabajo.
Están regresando al Paso.
Ya.
Ok. Y ahora ya se están quedando.
Gracias. The University of Texas in El Paso Health Fair. And so this is Annunciation House, and they rely only on volunteers. They don't, do they get any funding from anyone?
It's all private donors.
Private, individual donors?
Yeah,
Okay.
individual donors. We're not government funded.
Okay.
Annunciation House is a network of nonprofits, and so there's the core, where it's 4 or 5 shelters at any given time that are all privately funded. And then there's a larger, broader network of other churches that pitch in and will have a shelter for the summer or for a year as we ask. And they all work through our director, who Mr. Ruben Garcia will coordinate with Homeland Security to figure out where everyone should be going, and then based off of their need. Every shelter has their own rules.
Okay.
Some are intended to be, like this one is intended to be a little longer term. Other places are closed on the weekends, and so Mr. Garcia does his best to get the people who have families that are going to pay for a ticket for this week to go there, and yeah.
And you mentioned earlier about that there was a need for security.
Oh,
lately, can you just?
So yeah, since there's a court case that the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed against Annunciation House. I believe it was like spring of this year that started, and since that happened, there have been like hate calls, especially now that it's like election season. We'll get calls of people just speaking their mind and really like fear-based stuff that they've seen on the TV.
Okay.
To voice their opinions, and so we have a security guard to protect the people who live here and work here from, who knows, potential others.
Okay.
Yeah, security overall prior to this has not really been an issue. I think you can look up that. I think there was something that happened in 2004, but other than that, overall, like, because we're a bit further away from the actual border, we don't have like Homeland Security up on our doorsteps the way some of the other shelters.
Meanwhile, you're very close to the border, but
yeah, I mean, there's other shelters that
right
are like
on the border. Yeah, that's
shelter.
right. Yeah,
and so DHS is like standing on their doorsteps asking. But here, we're 3-4 blocks away from the border, and so it's that distance means a lot because we're not being surveilled at all times by not just Homeland Security but Texas state troopers and things like that.
And why do you love to do this work or choose to do this work?
I think there's a lot of resilience that we see here. You know, the people here are so immediately fall into a community. Everyone wants to share their cultures with each other. Like, everyone here is going through quite difficult things, and I think it always puts it into perspective for me to just remember that my problems are not problems, you know, like that if we have some guests that are quite injured, have lost part of their feet, or and I'll ask them like, how are you so happy? Like, why are you, you know, I would be depressed if that happened to me. And they're like, I can still walk, I can still dance, and like dancing, like, and so they give they put things into perspective for me, for real. And like to see the amount of generosity and resilience that the families here exhibit, like there's so much care. There's parents that they just immediately become a team and a community with one another to care for each other's children and to pick them up when they're crying, and to when they go and get some snacks for their kids, they have enough for everyone else, and so
and these are the stories we never hear.
Yeah, like
we only hear the terrible stories, and we in the news the negative sentiment felt by others. Yeah, so I'm so glad that you're doing this work, Shiva.
Thank you.
And you are like a God-sent angel to this place. So
the people
thank
who live
you.
Here are, not me.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es María Cobernali. Soy promotora y soy instructora de promotores con mi número 155, certificada por el estado de Texas Entonces aquí en El Paso, Texas, pues hemos graduado cerca de 800 promotoras y promotores de salud, y pues estas promotoras tienen un rol muy grande. Yo les digo promotoras y promotores de corazón porque ellos organizan, abogan, liderean desde una canasta de comida hasta proyectos de vivienda, de infraestructura. Entonces están dentro de las trincheras y abogan también, y están dentro de las trincheras de la comunidad más vulnerable y la comunidad que de verdad necesita apoyo, necesita ayuda. Desde, lo mencioné, desde una canasta de comida hasta una vacuna, una referencia médica, donde vivir. Entonces es muy amplio lo de las promotoras de salud. Aquí trabajamos dentro de las 8 habilidades que requiere el Estado para poderlas certificar, y una de las habilidades es prevención en todo lo de salud, todo lo preventivo, desde cáncer de seno, cáncer de próstata, diabetes. Entonces se educan dentro de todas, mucho más, enfermedades cardiovasculares, pero también se educan dentro de la habilidad de abogacía, de liderazgo, de enseñanza, relaciones interpersonales, y la principal es la habilidad de comunicación. ¿Cómo nos vamos a comunicar con nuestra comunidad? Entonces tenemos que tener esa habilidad.
Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias, les mando muchos saludos desde El Paso, Texas, y espero vernos allá muy pronto en Nueva York y poder platicar y participar con ustedes, promotoras y promotores de Nueva York. Abrazos.
Like I mentioned, we are seeing people that have been pushed out of cars. Well, first of all, we get a hold of these people because they end up in ER, because they're found dead in an alley, or they're found dehydrated and almost, like beyond, like conscious or whatever, and then they're taken to ER. Like they're found by police, they're taken to ER, and they have cuts or lacerations or like a whole thing on their legs, trying to where we could see that they were thrown out of the car, and then that leg scraped into like in pavement or in the street or whatever, and sometimes that has ended up in like either amputations or like in hurts, is that how you put it, like pieces of skin from other parts of their body so that it can heal.
Skin grafts.
Yeah, that. And we are seeing that on a lot of the human trafficking victims. And it doesn't matter the nationality that they're from, we're seeing it through and through, like anyone.
Why would they be thrown out of the vehicle?
Either so that they can be found and then they're not linked to it. Maybe they paid the ransom and they just are trying to set them free, but they're hoping they don't survive.
And you're saying that this is linked to trafficking, human trafficking.
Yeah.
So the trafficker is the one like getting rid of them without not wanting to be traced.
Correct.
So they just throw them.
Yeah, because I mean, I've already seen like the hospitals do a rape kit on these because they're so busy trying to keep the person alive.
So they're not doing the rape kit because they're busy trying to keep the person
like
alive.
trying to like revive them or like do other stuff.
And
until the victim wakes up and says I was raped,
Right.
then they'll.
Okay.
So sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes, I mean, it's rare to see it.
Okay. And is this?
I've never seen it.
Is this women only, or is it of any men, women, children?
I've only seen it in women. Only women. And it's usually women that are either very young or very small.
I hit the border.
Yes.
What do I do then?
Okay,
Go
so
travel.
two things. One is you're either you either had a CBP1 appointment.
I had nothing.
Well, no. You had one of two things. One is you either had a CBP1 appointment and waited in Juarez until your appointment crossed a bridge
That I got
downtown El Paso.
That I
That
got.
you got on that. That probably Las Americas helped you with in Juarez to figure out, download, and fill out. back probably. And then you waited in the shelters in Juarez and were convinced to stay because of a work permit opportunity. So then you cross the bridge. It's a walking bridge downtown, Santa Fe Street. You walk across.
You're gonna walk it tomorrow when you go to
Yeah,
Juarez.
and then and you have your appointment there. It takes a few hours. They do your fingerprints, they interview you, and they decide they either deport you or they let you go in. Who knows what time? So you walk across, and then it's like,
On your own.
now what? Well, there's these lovely people in blue vests, just like hers, at the port of entry. As soon as people walk across, and they go, "Hey, you need some help?" And they go there. There's little offices down at the port of entry. That's one of our sites. It's open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., but it stays open later if Border Patrol calls them and says we still have appointments coming. So they'll stay open till like 1 in the morning if needed. It's not great, but it's possible. And they'll receive folks that already have immediate plans. They'll take them to the airport, take them to the bus station, or just let them go to the bathroom, have water, go on your way, like get a taxi, that's fine. So we're not like detaining anybody, we're just trying to provide information because Border Patrol doesn't give them anything after they release them. And they check their paperwork, coordinate with Border Patrol if anything's wrong, whatever, that's fine. So, and then if they need shelter, we'll refer them to either here or Las Cruces or coordinate with another shelter to kind of figure that out for them. Okay, so that's if they
Who sponsors these lovely people?
Border Serving Corps, their staff.
They're your staff.
Yeah, and at the port of entry too. That's one of our 4 sites. The other is the airport, and then the other shelter in Las Cruces. Okay, so if you don't enter through CBP1 because you got antsy and the wait was too long and you're worried about your children and getting kidnapped and all the terrible things that are happening in Juarez to, not people who look like me, but people that, Guatemalans, right? Central American, you said. So if you get antsy and you cross between ports, then you present yourself somewhere along the border, probably Port 36 or something, and you just present yourself to Border Patrol and say, I'd like to claim asylum. Okay, fine. They take you, they hand you over to ICE, ICE processes you. May or may not, they might release you the same day, they might detain you 4 months. Who knows? Probably if it's family, they'll release you pretty quickly, or if you're pregnant, we get them when the mom is 8 months pregnant. They get rid of the medical things pretty quickly.
They will not separate families?
They do sometimes still. It's less of a policy, but
They might.
it's not out of the realm of possibilities, especially dads. They will take dads away. Even if they're legally married, even if. So they just kind of make that call. It's discretionary. There's no written policy about it. You can't advise people about what they're, so it's totally just up to, it's up to the VP person and the ICE person that's on duty at that time. Is what happens next. And then suddenly you're there for, months. So, but then at some point, so either they're released that day or released in months, doesn't matter. ICE calls Ruben Garcia every morning, 6 a.m., 365 days a year.
Is he a public servant?
He's the founder and director of Annunciation House. He's a living legend, man.
Yes.
Read the New York Times articles on this man.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. But this is what he does every day.
It's like they have an official doing this. A man's doing this. A volunteer.
No, he's just doing it as like,
That's
and
his
he's
mission.
been doing it for years.
It's sort of like when you look at people's
So,
missions for their mission, that's
They call him and they coordinate the releases so that they're not releasing people on the street, because they've gotten slapped on the wrist for that a few times of ill-timed street releases. They released a bus of unaccompanied minors. in the middle of the night.
And they
kid
allow them
die in their custody. They just are getting in trouble a lot because they keep. And so that kind of stuff is terrible. And so now they're coordinating more with the shelter network, and it's because of Ruben Garcia. So he gets the call, and he decides where to place those folks. So he might place them here, a certain number here. He might place them in Las Cruces, at the Border Serving Corps. He might place them at Papa Francisco. He might place them at a church called Holy Family. Did you go to Holy Family? No, it's not open yet.
No.
It's closed for renovations.
Yeah.
Probably. Right, he might place them there, but he might place them at a partner church.
Yes.
He might place them with us. Wherever has space, because every night around 10 p.m. every shelter texts him how much room they have, how many people came in that day, and how many people left. So, so that is what happens, you know, and so that person just shows up on a bus to whatever location. So that's a direct ICE.
So once they, let's say they get placed here,
yeah.
then
So
what do you,
again,
they
it
stay?
doesn't matter how they get placed here. They'll go in the waiting room here.
Okay.
Welcome
Yes.
speech.
Pero
These are the
what
rules. This
perception
is what
is.
to expect.
Yes.
This is what we're going to help you with.
Yeah,
And then
pero
they'll
that's-
make their way to registration. This is where they get divvied up into I have plans or I don't have any clue what I'm doing. Right now, 97% of people have a clue what they're doing. 3 months ago, Venezuelan, when it was crazy, 60 to 70% had no idea. So it was a very different dynamic. 4 years ago, it was 1% had no idea what they were doing. Like all the Guatemalans, all the Central Americans that were coming up 4 or 5 years ago, they had a plan. They just needed, you know, it was in and out.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
what
one
family-
special care case. You know, we had like, you know, shelter with hundreds of people in and out every day. I had one special care case every month or every 2 weeks maximum. Here, it's every week, right? So it's just a different demographic. And so we're trying to adjust with that because all the shelters aren't totally used to that yet and what to do with the longer term stays. So if we have travel plans, our travel coordinators kind of help them figure what those out because
There you go.
yeah, it's travel. So this is travel.
Bienvenidos, nosotros somos de BSC. Como pueden ver, ahorita es la hora de la comida. Aquí los tenemos asistiéndolos. Por lo regular, el grupo de la mañana no es que preparamos aquí lo que es huevo para el almuerzo, pero se los damos regularmente si ellos lo desean, lo piden. Tenemos pues yogur, agua, todo. Aquí todo se sirve fresco para ellos en todo momento. Siempre estamos a la disponibilidad de ellos. ¿Por qué? Porque sabemos las necesidades, sabemos todo lo que han pasado ellos en el transcurso para llegar aquí, lo difícil que es llegar aquí. Yo digo que para trabajar aquí tienes que tener esa parte humana.
Okay, hi, my name is Luis. I'm actually part of the airport team, but I am helping here in the shelter today. Over at the airport, what we do is that we receive the guests from either BSC, Las Cruces campus, or here in Paso, and we do anything from print out their tickets, get wheelchairs for them, add lap infants. If they run into issues like their car getting declined, their reservation not found, we take them directly to the airlines. And basically, we have a space where we try to keep them so that any questions they have, we help them. And we do take them up to the gate, well, to TSA, actually. Although we are able to take them to the gate on very special circumstances, like, you know, people that are like indigenous or
Language.
or language barrier, or, you know, sometimes very mute, deaf, that's happened to us too. And then, yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what we do.
We translate the application for the guests, and we have them do copies. Well, we have copies for them. We make copies of their NTA, their I-94, and their ID. That goes along with the application. We do have a letter that we make for them that waives the fee so that they don't have to pay the taxes on the work permit, which is about $500 to $600. Thanks to the New York team, in this job we have to have a lot of patience, a lot of empathy, just put yourself in their shoes, and that's what we try to do our best. We move forward with that.
And never forget where we came from.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Les comento que el programa Compañeros tiene 3 temas centrales, que es VIH, adicción a drogas y violencia. Pero tenemos muchas cosas que están alrededor de estos 3 temas que trabajamos. Entonces tenemos un médico, el doctor Ríos, que es especialista en adicciones, y tenemos otro médico que es el doctor Olvera, que él es médico de Estados Unidos, es especialista en cuestiones de traumatología, pero es nuestro voluntario y viene 4 veces a la semana. Entonces, donde estamos aquí es el área de enfermería, ¿sí? como pueden ver, pues hay cosas para... Aquí se hacen de este lado las curaciones y por esta ventanita, cuando estaba la pandemia
Ajá.
de COVID,
Yeah.
por aquí entregábamos los
Médico.
equipos. Entonces ahora los muchachos que consumen drogas, que vienen por equipo de inyección por condones, que no tienen que entrar a hacer algo aquí a la oficina, por aquí se les entrega el insumo de prevención. Muchas de las personas con las que nosotros trabajamos habitan la calle, viven en la calle. Ajá, y entonces tenemos esa área donde son los regaderos. Tenemos el servicio de baño para ellos. Con la falta de recursos, solo pueden acudir a bañarse 2 días a la semana. Nosotros les proveemos las toallas, la ropa que tenemos. Recibimos mucha ropa donada, pero a veces no es suficiente por las diferentes tallas, por las cosas de las personas. Entonces les proveemos eso y ellos aquí se bañan, martes y jueves aquí comen, se bañan, comen, tienen grupos de apoyo, tienen la consulta médica, tienen la consulta dental y las consejerías. Nosotros tenemos consejería a nivel de psicología, de trabajo social y de pares. Ok, aquí en programa compañeros no se dan medicamentos, se dan las instituciones de salud. Sin embargo, nosotros tenemos un pequeño banco de medicamento porque las personas que están en tránsito, que están migrando, pueden pedirnos algunas pastillas mientras llegan a su lugar de origen. Y también personas que perdieron su cita, que no fueron a tratamiento, mientras les reagendan sus citas, aquí tenemos medicamento antirretroviral. A veces recibimos alguna donación de varios frascos de una agencia, pero por ejemplo casi siempre son las mismas personas con VIH quienes nos traen un frasquito de medicamento cuando cambian de un servicio a otro y les queda un frasquito, y es como se ha generado ese pequeño banco de medicamentos.